from where you at. I came here for vengeance, watch your back. No need to defend, I'm on attack. Sorry they can't reply, but I guarantee they had a blast. Pop, 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 I be on the next to only ya. I am fresh to death.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Long Haul Mentality. I am your host, as always, Nick Bagley, and I'm sorry, but it is just me today. I did some questions on Instagram and figured I'd go ahead and do this. You know, I said in my last video of 2025 that I was planning on doing a podcast every week. So that's 52 podcasts this year in 2026, and I fucked up last week. The last week was a week. It was very stressful in a lot of personal ways, and we'll leave it at that. So I was supposed to record a podcast on Thursday, and I forgot that we scheduled it earlier in the day. And I was at the gym when I got the reminder that I had a podcast. So I rescheduled with the person. I'm not going to drop it yet. It's not like it's this massive deal, but I do kind of like the surprise of like who's coming next. So he was very gracious and very understanding and whatnot. And it honestly worked out well because I was not in a great headspace on Thursday. So it probably worked out for the better that I did not do that then. But everything is moving forward, and that is life, and things get rough sometimes, but we got to keep moving forward, right? So that's pretty much it as far as me. I'll just get straight into these questions here. This one probably shouldn't be too terribly long. It's not like I had hundreds of questions on this. But I needed to make sure that I committed to doing this podcast every week for this year. So whether it is with a guest or with me by myself, I'm going to give you a podcast every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that is, for those of you who have not caught on to the schedule, that is what the schedule will be. For the most part, I plan to continue to have guests. I have some lined up. I have 2 lined up for this week, so the next 2 weeks are covered with guests. But yeah, honestly, it is hard to keep up with bringing guests on sometimes. So if that's the case and I fucked up, this is what you're going to get, is me. All right. So we'll just, we'll go ahead and kick this off here. Does a coach need to have turned a client pro to be considered high quality? No, not at all. It depends on what the context of high quality is. Right? If you are someone who is on the cusp of turning pro and you're looking at hiring a new coach, that's probably a qualifier for you. You know, it's probably like, well, has this person done this before? Have they gotten people in the condition that they need to be in order to turn pro? And that is certainly a qualifier. And it's certainly something that people like look into, and it's something I get asked on a regular basis, and I'm always up front. I'm still hunting for that first pro card, and there's a couple of opportunities this season, and there was a couple of opportunities last season, and that's just how bodybuilding goes. You keep showing up, and at some point things are going to go your way. You know what I'm saying? But no, I mean, I know a ton of coaches who have never turned into a pro who are amazing coaches. And it really just depends on the context of the situation that you're in. If you are trying to go to the Olympia, you probably need a coach who has taken somebody to the Olympia. I'm not saying that like somebody who hasn't done that before can't do it. That's the only way that you ultimately end up becoming an Olympia coach is by not having been an Olympia coach and then taking someone to it. So it's really just a matter of like, what's your goal and what do you need? Gotta have a diet soda. Dr. Pepper cream soda is probably my number one, followed closely by root beer, A&W root beer. Let me know what y'all's favorite diet soda is in the comments. So I think I answered that question as best as I could. All right. Consistently, I hear coaches state 150 tests a week during cruise stage. Why 150? To be honest with you, it's kind of just like a ballpark number that I think people have kind of averaged out to. I would say that a TRT range, when you come down to TRT, health phase, whatever the fuck you want to call it, typically it's like 100 to 200 milligrams of TRT, of testosterone, because 200 milligrams from a clinic is a lot. Like it's typically someone who like has worked with sports performance people before who is willing to prescribe a little bit more, but 200 is usually pretty high. So like 100, 120, 150. That's usually kind of what you end up seeing from a clinic that's like being very particular about giving out testosterone prescriptions. But these days you can find somebody who'll give you a bigger dose. But really, honestly, it really matters based on the individual and how they feel, to be completely transparent. I've been on 50 milligrams of testosterone for fucking almost a year. I mean, obviously I did my little vlog for a bit there where I pushed things up a little bit, and we'll discuss that because that's one of the questions here. And I pushed that up, but before that I was on 50 to 100. And then after that, I've been on 50 to 100. So, and I feel great at that amount. Like it feels really good. So it's really just a matter of how things feel. It's not necessarily that like this, like 150 is some magic number for a hold phase. You know what I mean? But you know, I kind of already touched on it. So we'll talk about this next. What happened to the cutting vlog? Life. I got kicked in the fucking teeth. And you know, I said that was something that I was going to show you. I was like, hey, I'm going to fight through these things. But this one was a little bit different. Transparently, I started having a lot of panic attacks. I started having a lot of really bad anxiety. I started having heart palpitations and like chest pounding and all that kind of stuff. And through a number of different labs, my DHEA was just fucking sky high. Just 3 different lab panels in a row was 1,000, greater than 1,000 is what the lab said. So my adrenal glands were just getting ramped through the fucking roof. And it was one of those things of like, I combed through a million different things, right? Because again, you know, against my own better judgment is like, I started that and I started everything at once. You know, I started the cutting peptides. I started my cycle. I started this. I started that. I was also using nicotine at the time, and not a small amount of nicotine. And all of those things culminated together to a spot where my adrenal gland was just fucking through the roof. Like to the point where I'd drink a cup of coffee and I felt like I just ran a marathon. Just like, oh my God, like just cracked out of my mind. And honestly, caffeine is not usually something that bothers me that bad. I used to, when I was younger, I would take 1,000 milligrams and not fucking blink, not bat an eye. So my DHEA got ramped through the roof, and it was coming because of the culmination of all the peptides I was using at one time. And this is honestly another good transition here of like, be careful with the peptide world, right? And this is why I do these experiments with myself, because I need to understand how they work and what the interactions are and what I'm seeing, right? So like I've tried all the peptides that I recommend to clients. I have tried myself. I've tried them in combinations. I've tried them singularly. I've done all sorts of different things. So if I have given it to a client, I've probably tried it myself. I'm not usually going to give something that I haven't tried myself unless I've heard a ton of people talk about it, and it's just something that I don't care to use or need, right? So I was using Celenk, Simax, methylene blue, nicotine, SLU, 5-amino. Like I was running the gamut. I was using a lot of things, and like it's not that all of them were like directly impacting that one issue, but it was all things that were like ramping up my nervous system. My sympathetic nervous system was just through the fucking roof, and it'd be one of those things of like I wouldn't really feel it that much until I went to like lay down. Like I'd sit down on the couch and my chest would be like. I'd go to sleep, and that's what my chest would be doing, is just fucking beating. And my blood pressure was fine. I checked my blood glucose. Like I checked all the health markers. Everything was fine, but it just felt like my heart was just beating to shit. And it just got to a point where that DHEA being run that high for that long just beat me down, man. And like there wasn't enough sleep in the world to be had. I didn't feel like training. Everything hurt. I felt terrible. My brain was dog shit. Like everything sucked. So it was time to shut that down. So, yeah, I just didn't do things the way I know I should have, and I did that because I was trying to do it in a fast period of time, trying to document all this stuff before the end of the year, give myself something to push against, that sort of thing. But like I shot myself in the foot fucking doing that. So I am in moving back in a positive direction again, trying to get myself in a really good groove and whatnot, and figure out what my body will handle and tolerate, because I've certainly become more sensitive in the last few years. Like I stopped competing I competed in 2023. That was 2.5 years ago, because it was middle of 2023. So I was 30. I'll be 33 at the end of this month now. So in the last 3 years, my body has just the sensitivity to everything is different. I feel everything way faster, and it's interesting. So I'm having to learn a completely new system here, and it's interesting and it's fun. But man, I'll be completely honest, that shit is scary. There was multiple times where I almost like called an ambulance because it felt like my heart was gonna, like I felt like I was having a heart attack a few times for sure. So yeah, that shit wasn't fun. Goals for 2026. So I have some competitive goals. Obviously, I want to get a number of overalls. Like I'd like to. I'm going to keep those particular numbers to myself, but I'd like to get a number of overalls. First pro card is on there. I have a monetary goal for the business. I had my best year ever as far as business is concerned this year, with having moved from in person and online to online only in April. And I had my best year ever. So pretty cool. But now it's time to beat that. And then one of the other goals is 1 podcast posted per week. So that's like business stuff. And then personally, as funny as this might sound, one of the goals that I have is to smile more. And you can tack onto that to perceive change. How do I even word this? Be nicer is the best thing for me to say. But like the thing is like, it's not that I'm not nice. It's just that my perception, because my face, like when people see me at the gym, is not nice. You know, like my normal face of like me just walk around is very like, yeah, there's no emotion there. But the tattoos don't help. The beard doesn't help. The muscles don't help. They see a mean face immediately. And my dad is I joke with him. We just got family pictures done for Christmas, and I joke with him, and it's like, oh man, I saw your teeth. You actually smiled there. And like, so it just comes from that, of like, that's kind of what I was used to. And like, that to me feels like a smile. And my girlfriend tells me it looks like I'm just upset at something, or look like I smelled something bad. So I am going to try to smile more, because I've had issues with people and clients in all sorts of different scenarios where the way I talk, the way I express myself ends up putting myself in a position where like people think I'm angry. And it's not usually angry. If I'm angry, you know it. Like I'm going to be very loud, and even when I just talk, I'm pretty loud. Even right now, I'm probably talking pretty loud. But even in normal conversation, I get pretty loud. So like if something excites me, like meaning like I'm a little irritated about it, or I'm a little anxious about it, or it makes me laugh, or like if there's any like strong emotion connected to the thing that I'm talking about, I tend to get a little bit more passionate about it and that kind of stuff. And that passion sometimes gets perceived as like me being upset, and I'm not. I'm just expressing myself. So I'd like to change that. I would like to change how I communicate and express emotion. You know, and yeah, that's a weird one, but yeah, that's a goal for 2026. What peptides that you are convinced that they work efficiently? It depends on your definition of the word peptide. Because like, you know, people say peptides and they lump things like GLPs in there. They lump things like carnitine in there, which neither of those are peptides. A GLP is a GLP. but I can list a few that like I have used with myself and that I've used with clients that I think are pretty good additions that are not just a drop in the bucket. You know, there's a lot of people who talk about all these different there's a million fucking peptides out there, and it's like it's kind of exhausting trying to look through all that stuff, to be completely honest, and it's just like how much of it really fucking matters. But the ones that I've seen that have worked really well are the couple different categories. So retatrutide, retatrutide, whatever the fuck you want to call it, Reta, works awesome. I've used it with a number of different clients. I am currently on it myself, and I like it a lot. I do 1 milligram a week, and it is enough to keep me from thinking about food all day. There are many days where, like, especially on rest days, where I'm like, oh shit, I was supposed to eat. And it's not that like I can't eat. It's not that I'm like, oh, I'm so full, I don't want to eat. It's just like, oh, I forgot. I got busy and I was working and I was doing something. I was with my son or I was doing a video or whatever, and I just forgot to eat. So it's really not that bad, and it just kind of calms down that food noise. I've used it a lot with athletes in prep. It's just a matter of like, yes, it'll help just like slow down digestion and help you not feel too hungry, but like I don't want to scale it too aggressive as far as how much you're taking, because the last thing I want to do is slow down GI so much that when we try to feed you that we have problems. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something to take into consideration. Slew, I like a lot. Slew is a lot like Clen without the jitters. It's kind of the best way to put it. Me and Clen don't get along. I did when I was younger, but me and Clen don't get along. I tried to do 20 micrograms in 2023 for my last prep, and I'd fucking wrecked my sleep. So I don't do Clen anymore, and I haven't in a long time. I just don't care. There's no reason for me to use Clen. I'll just do some more cardio. But Slew is really good. I like it a lot. Slew works well. I've seen it work really well with athletes looking to get on stage without us having to crank Clint through the roof or crank cardio through the roof. Slew increases the number of mitochondria, but there's no regulation on quality of mitochondria. So if your system's all fucked up and you're already not producing good mitochondria, just adding Slew is not going to help you. So something like SS31 to like kick off a cutting peptide cycle is a good idea, or use urolithin A alongside your Slew while you are taking Slew. SS31 is like the emergency cleanup crew, right? So like there's a bunch of shit going on right now and we need to clean this out fast. SS31 is, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, and if I am, somebody correct me and send me some information, because I'm always down to learn. But SS31 is something that you run at like the beginning of a cycle to get the body primed and ready to do what it needs to do. And it's like the emergency cleanup crew. It comes in and cleans out all the bad mitochondria, improves the quality, and then you're off to the races. Urolithin A is like your daily maintenance crew that comes in and cleans every night and fixes your equipment or fixes whatever it is. They're your daily maintenance. So it's there alongside the Slew to just kind of put quality control in place to make sure that like we're not just ramping up terrible mitochondria quality, right? Because if they're just bad mitochondria, it's not doing anything to help you. So those would be really good to use alongside the Slew. 5-amino is decent. MOTS-C, I would say, would be a bigger needle mover there than 5-amino. But the thing with MOTS-C is it comes down to cost. The bottles are typically like 5 to 10 milligrams. Goodness gracious, 5 to 10 milligrams, and depending on how you dose it, like some people do it like once a week, and it's like 5 milligrams at a time. Or I know people like Nick Walker and I have talked about it a number of times. He was doing like a milligram daily and just doing the injections daily. So if you're doing that and you're doing a milligram every day, you're going through a bottle every 10 days. And it's not like it's cheap. So that's the thing with the peptide world is like, I try to find a handful that work really well, and start with those. And then if somebody's like curious about these other things, I'll let them know like, hey, yes, this can be used in this spot, but just understand that it's an expensive thing that you're going to have to keep up. It's not like you can run one bottle of this peptide and everything's going to magically change. It's like, no, we need to run this for a little while. So it comes down to cost. Cilank and Cimax did work really well for me until they didn't. Simax is really good for like focus and attention and like getting some work done. It's like kind of Adderall-y like, and Silink is more for like a relaxed focus. It's supposed to help out with anxiety. I noticed that until I started having really bad fucking panic attacks, that it was actually helping me. Like it didn't get rid of my anxiety. It just helped me step back from it and analyze it and understand it and move forward. It was kind of that, and it was more of a calm mental headspace, which was really nice until it wasn't. So I just ran it for too long with too many different things, and that was the issue. But it still works really well. And DSIP works great too. Delta sleep or deep sleep initiating peptide. I've heard it called both. That shit, yeah, you want to sleep, that'll do it. You know, like I don't use it every night anymore. I use it more sporadically. Like I'll use it a couple of days here and there, or if I know that like if I stayed up a little too late playing video games or whatever, watching TV, like I stayed up a little late on the weekend, I'll use the DSIP to kind of just improve that quality. I like it for prep clients too, especially towards the end because the sleep just becomes scarce. So yeah, there's a number of those there. BPC, TB500, GHK Copper, those are great. Those are talked about a lot. I've been using Tesamorelin. I can notice a little bit of difference in recovery and sleep. Other than that, I don't notice too much. Yeah, there's a lot of them, to be honest. Like there's a lot of really good ones. It's a matter of context. So like I could do this whole podcast about peptides, but I've done that and I think it's a little old. Oh, how's the new gym? The gym's great, man. Absolute Recon is cool. You know, I said this to somebody earlier today. Like, I love Destination. I've been at Destination for years. I just trained there as a client, as a member, until I started working there. So I've been around that brand and around that company for a long time. And you know, it was just nice to get a little change of scenery and honestly, it's kind of nice to go in a gym that doesn't smell. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but that there is kind of nice. And like, it's just been cool to be able to try a bunch of new shit. Like, it's just, there's a lot of cool shit in that gym, man. I'm just going to say it. So it's been a lot of fun. You know, the original AR location, was cool. That one was just like an hour from me. And that one was a lot different. Like the OG, Absolute Recon is not what we see now. He has turned it into a completely different thing now. The OG one was really cool and I enjoyed it, but it was really influencery and a lot of young kids and that kind of stuff. So it was like, I'd go there every so often. But yeah, it just, from everybody who talked about going there regularly, it was like, that wasn't really the vibe and the environment. Then they opened the Los Colinas one, and the Los Colinas one was like a nightclub, and that shit drove me nuts. It's like they had these lights that would all of a sudden turn red just sporadically throughout the workout, and the music was so loud that like I listened to heavy metal and I couldn't hear my heavy metal over my headphones. And a little limited at the time on equipment. It was a ton of equipment, but it was a lot of like just Panada. And like some Panada stuff is good, but a lot of it I don't like. And it was far away from me still. So like I wasn't really sold. But this one they've done a lot different. A lot of new tech stuff. They got Panada, they got Watson, they've got all sorts of shit in there. And a great gym. The music's a little bit less. The lights aren't doing weird shit. There's plenty of room in there, even when it's busy. Well, I haven't been when it's busy because I'm not gonna be there when it's busy. But when I go at the like early afternoon hours, it's pretty chill, and there's never usually any issues with equipment. And if there is an issue with equipment, there's probably something else you can use that's a similar pattern. So new gym's cool. I've been having a good time. Okay, so I have 2 questions about athletes here, so we'll answer both of those. So the first one is, how's Blake so lean? I don't ask his mom and dad. The kids just got fucking genetics, man. Like, I knew it from the fucking moment he signed up with me. Like, I saw it. Like, he was very rough around the edges when it came to posing and posing and just bodybuilding in general. It was a lot of like stuff he'd learn over the internet, which is not really what bodybuilding is. So, but you could see that it was just a diamond in the rough, you know. And he has been one of the most loyal and consistent athletes that I've worked with. Blake and I started working together right after my last show in 2023, and we've done 2 national level shows. We've done nationals twice. He got 5th at the first one and 6th at the second one. And now we're pushing for another show this year. He took all last year off to try and grow and put on the density that we need, and we did so. And the thing is like, I have people message me about Blake and be like, why are you keeping him so lean? It's like, I'm not fucking trying. I'm truly am not trying to keep him crazy lean. It's like, that's just how his body responds. Like, he's eating a lot of food. And it's not like I'm having him run fat burners all year round, and like he's doing a maintenance level of cardio, but I'm not crushing him with cardio. It's not like I'm trying to hold him back by any means, but I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. There's been a weight cap that has been looming over us, and that's a big thing to consider. Is like, yeah, I could let him get big as fuck. Like, his body wants to grow. If I just crank things up just a little bit, his body would explode. But there's a weight cap, and we're running through classic, right? And that's what he wants to do, and maybe that changes someday, but who knows, and until then, I'm going to keep doing what we've been doing, and his body's responding great, and I'm super excited for what we're going to do this year. And then, so that's it on Blake. And then the other one is, what's next for Sam? Sam is in a health phase, so it's time for Sam to kind of pull back a little bit. He had been pushing himself for a while before he came to me, and it's time to pull back, get labs, make sure health is good, and then make decisions on what we do. If labs come back and they look okay, and we can spend just a little bit longer not pushing things, then we'll look at an earlier show. If there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be adjusted and fixed, and it's not something that can be fixed quickly, we will wait till later this season. So it's really just a matter of what labs look like. There we go. I don't like having the door in there for some reason. It just looks weird. My camera's drifting. I think it's because I keep bumping into my desk over here. So that's what's next for Sam. Sam's got all the potential in the world too. Another one of those guys is just fucking morphing. Like, he's already up to like 263, 264 after the show, where we competed at like high 240s, low 250s between Battle of Texas and Nationals, and he's 10 pounds heavier than that now and still in the same condition, and we haven't done anything yet. So the kid's got all the potential in the world, and like the main thing that we needed based on what we saw at Nationals was improved posing, continuing to improve posing, and putting on the thickness and density that he needs to match the little bit older guys, and I think I don't think that's going to take long to do, if I'm being completely honest. I think it'll take one really good push in the offseason handled correctly, and he'll be ready to go. Let's see. If you compete again, getting a coach. Why? If yes, what do you consider when hiring? Yeah, I would definitely get a coach, just because I don't want to be in control of it myself, especially the last like 6 to 8 weeks. Like, I'm not going to make those calls for myself that I would need in order to get in that type of condition, especially now with like being a single dad, and like I know what I had to do before in order to get in that good of shape, and I'm probably going to have to do that again to get in that good of shape, if not better shape. And if it was me running it, I'd probably likely be a little softer on myself, just because of what I know I'm taking away from my son, I guess, and from my athletes. So like I might try to skirt the fences versus like somebody else telling me to do something. Like, I'm not going to miss that. Plus, I just don't want to have to think about all this stuff. It's like, I already think about all this stuff for fucking 50 other people. I'd rather not do that. I'd let somebody else do it. I would probably either go back to Tuttle, because Tuttle and I have done a lot together. We worked together for 4 straight years, and it would be fun to do it with him again. I would definitely work with Dom, but Dom's really moved a little bit more towards the mentorship side of things. So I know that he's kind of been turning people away here recently. So he might make an exception for me. But Dom, Mike Nassif, maybe Justin Jacoby, but Justin's just got his plate full of like super high level people. Like, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to get in the way of that. It's like, I'm just, if I ever compete again, it's just going to be because I fucking want to, not because I'm going to be a pro or anything like that. But, I've dabbled with the thought. And somebody asked me today, like, oh, I see you posing again. When are you competing? I said, fucking never. Like, cause that guy, I'm still committed to that. I'm like, I'm not getting on stage again. But I've thrown around the idea of doing a show when I'm 35 and Masters. It's really just a matter of like, whether things line up. And like, I know that kind of is a shitty thing to say because, I tell people all the time on calls of like, there is no set time that's perfect to do this, that, and the other. But like, when it comes to being a dad and whatnot, like that's my number one priority. So like, if I have the ability to do it at that time, I will, as long as it doesn't take away from my son and what I need to do with him, and then what do I consider? I consider, like, first off, their quality of work. So what do their current athletes look like? Do they communicate the way that I would need in order to be a good coach-athlete relationship? And that doesn't mean I don't need somebody to hold my hand. Tuttle definitely never held my hand. If anything, it was quite the opposite. But he communicated quickly. He communicated clearly. He was always there to correct me when I was wrong and in a manner that was productive and never like put me down. And when I was in my own head, he was very good at getting me out of it. And he and I had a very, very good relationship. So like, I want a level of communication and connection of an individual who gives a shit about me. You know what I mean? So that's really what matters more than anything else, is like, I don't give a fuck who they've worked with or what they did with this person. Like, I do. I'm sorry. I should take that back. I do care who they've worked with, because that is going to tell me whether or not they can get me to where I want them to be. But what I care more about is whether they're going to be invested in me and going to be communicative with me, even though I'm not some high-level pro or whatever. Like, are they going to put in the effort when I'm putting in the effort? If I'm putting in 100% towards this prep and I'm getting a coach who's giving me 60% back, you can go fuck yourself. I'm cool, man. That's not how I run things here. How's the upper lower split? It's cool. I'm enjoying it. I'm only a week in, so it's kind of hard to say much about it. It's not that far off from what I was already doing. I was training legs once a week because, to be honest, my legs grow, but I would like my hamstrings to be bigger again. My quads grow. I'm going to step that back. My quads grow. My quads and my biceps grow really well. My hamstrings and my triceps is okay. So training legs once a week, I wasn't going to be able to get the hamstring development that I wanted from it, and it made more sense to go to an upper lower split than it was to just tack hamstrings on at the end of my back day. And I wanted to, like, my upper body's not amazing, and like my back, I'd fucking hate right now. I hate how my back looks. Like it just doesn't feel like there's any muscle to it anymore. Like, my back was never a strong suit. So like, I wanted to train back twice a week, but then also my shoulders and chest are kind of meh these days. So it's like, I would also like to train my chest twice a week. So then the logical thing was like, all right, well, let's do an upper lower split. So it's lower A, lower B, lower B, upper B. Jesus Christ. I think I just had a stroke. So lower A is quad dominant. That's what I did today. Upper A is back dominant. So I do 3 or 4 back movements, 2 a lateral, a fly, 1 by, 1 try, and then the lower B is hamstrings. But there is some quad in on that day as well, so I do a little bit of both on both. And then the upper B is chest and shoulder focused, with a little back at the end and 1 set of bis and tries. So yeah, that's kind of how I've been running things. And I've, since I am at AR, I talked about that earlier, there's a shitload of different equipment. And right now, like, when I have my split written out, it's just like upper back row, incline press. And that's what I'm going to do until I figure out the machines that I really want to lock in on. I'm not going to spend too much time. And I've already, for the most part, found most of the movements that I want to use, but there's still a ton of leg equipment that I haven't used yet. There's still a bunch of chest equipment I haven't used yet, a bunch of back equipment I haven't used yet. But for the most part, I've kind of found the ones that I like. There's still a couple that are moving around, but for the most part, I'm just going to find what I like, But yeah, I'm curious to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. I was doing a higher volume approach for a little while, and I say higher volume, but it's like 3 sets, and like I wasn't usually doing anything lower than 10 reps. And when I was really all out into the bodybuilding, I was training more like super failure intensity, like if I didn't die on that set, it didn't count kind of thing, which now just hurts. And I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it. So I actually like, I'm not going, I want to train for the pump, but like the pump is a big focus for me. Connection, moving the weight well, making sure that the target muscle that I'm trying to hit is doing the job. I want to feel that pump, and it's been working really well. And it allows me to like scale the intensity and still put a lot of effort into sets without it having to be this like you fucking do it or you die kind of thing. And in, I trained really intensely on Tuesday because I had a lot of, or not Tuesday, on Thursday, because I had a lot of emotions going around with the personal stuff I was talking about. And I put a lot of aggression into the sets I was doing and whatnot. And my knees told me that they didn't like that. They still hurt today. And I got through the leg session without really any pain, but I could just feel it every once in a while. I was like, that's going to get worse if I do that again. So yeah, the days of training like an all-out animal of like brutality sets to failure is done. That's behind me. But I really enjoy the volume, and the pump has been great, and my muscle is growing, and like I'm definitely getting stronger. So a little bit more, a little bit less volume, a little bit higher frequency this time. So the frequency is a lot higher across everything on my body, not just like higher frequency of training back twice a week or training chest and shoulders twice a week, but everything is now higher. So with that, I'm just scaling like volume down to like 2 sets of everything. And still keeping the same kind of thought process of like, I'm not just trying to train to all out brutal failure and how much more weight can I do. So there's that. Thoughts on the FDA peptide crackdown. I don't know. I'm the jury is out on that one. I've talked to a couple different people and listened to a couple different things on this now, and it seems like for the most part they're going after GLPs. Now, what that looks like, I don't know. People are getting warning letters that, yes, of course, we've seen companies get shut down and all those different things, but I think some of that has to do with like how big and in your face they were with their marketing, and like they brought on just a shitload of athletes to the team, and they were very bold of like our peptides and this, that, and the other, and it kind of hard. The whole reason people can sell peptides is because they are using it under the guise of like, this is a research chemical. And when all of your marketing is geared towards like how this product can boost your metabolism and increase muscle, increase fat loss, all that stuff, it gets really hard to defend that like you're only selling this for research purposes. You know what I mean? So I think some of these companies get a little too big, and, talking with my peptide guy from Authentic, this world and the gray market products has to be ran differently. It can't be run like a regular company, and you have to you got to play the game. You got to be prepared, and you got to do some gray market stuff. Is the best way I can put that. You know what I mean? It's like it's not fully illegal, but it might be a little sketchy. You know what I mean? So until the thing is with the GLPs, like that's never going to go away, because those are prescription products that the FDA wants to make money off of, or not the FDA, but the big pharma wants to make money off of. And if millions of people are getting it for much cheaper and not from them, that's a problem for them. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that they're going to end up coming for things like SLU and all those kinds of things, because those aren't clinically used yet. But Retta is close, and once that thing gets gets put into where like the clinics and doctors can prescribe it, we're gonna lose it. You know what I mean? And it's gonna go underground. Like there'll still be a market for it, but it's just gonna go from like websites where you can buy it to underground. So I think it's a number of different things. I think the FDA and big pharma want to protect their business, and I understand. Like, I get it. That doesn't mean I agree with it. Like, I like to be able to buy Red online. It's nice. I'm not sure that I could get a prescription because I'm not exactly their target audience for that product. But we just have to see. I think that is just about all of them here. Yes, it is. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys. If you enjoy these style Q&As, I will certainly do more of them, and maybe I'll do some Q&As with a guest. Maybe that would be something fun to do. So yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to finish this up here. As I always do at the end of this, make sure you do the YouTube thing. Like, subscribe, comment, share it with your friends. Every little bit of it counts. If you guys comment, you engage with this video, it does help a ton. It does help put it in the algorithm. So please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you on the next one when I will have a guest.